The tragic murder of Kenia Monge, a 19-year-old college student from Denver, Colorado, in 2011, is a harrowing tale of a young life cut short by a predator. The investigation into her disappearance and the subsequent capture and conviction of her murderer, Travis Forbes, revealed a chilling narrative of deception and violence. This video explores the life of Kenia Monge, the night she vanished, the investigation that ensued, and the eventual justice served. But first, subscribe to our channel for more content, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Kenia Yulisa Monge was born in Honduras in 1992. Her early years were marked by the challenges of growing up in a country where opportunities were scarce. In 2004, when Kenia was 12, she moved to the United States with her mother, Maria, to join her stepfather, Tony Lee, in Aurora, Colorado. This move was a dream come true for Maria, who had longed to reunite her family in the land of opportunity. Despite the initial language barrier, Kenia quickly adapted to her new environment. She excelled academically at Cherry Creek High School and later pursued broadcasting at a local college in Denver. Kenia was known for her warm and caring personality, making friends easily and maintaining a close bond with her family. She had a bright future ahead of her, filled with promise and potential. On the night of April 1, 2011, Kenia Monge, a 19-year-old college student, went out with friends to the 24,000 Lounge, a popular nightclub in Denver's lower downtown Lodo district. The group, all underage, used fake IDs to gain entry and enjoyed a night of dancing and socializing. At some point during the evening, Kenia excused herself to go to the restroom, leaving behind her phone and purse. Her friends waited for her to return, but as time passed, it became clear that something was wrong. Kenia had vanished without a trace, and her friends were left bewildered and concerned. Her friends initially thought she might have left with someone she knew. As the night wore on, Kenia was seen miles away from the nightclub. Around a.m. surveillance footage captured her talking to a homeless man. Kenia appeared disoriented and intoxicated, a state that made her vulnerable. It was here that she encountered Travis Forbes, a local entrepreneur, who offered her a ride in his white cargo van. The day after Kenia's disappearance, her stepfather, Tony Lee, discovered a text message on her phone from a man named Travis Forbes. The message indicated that Forbes had offered Kenia a ride the previous night. Tony Lee arranged a meeting with Forbes at a Conoco gas station, where Forbes claimed he had dropped Kenia off after she asked for a cigarette. Forbes described himself as a good Samaritan who had tried to help Kenia. During the meeting, Forbes appeared calm and cooperative, but his story raised suspicions. He claimed that Kenia had walked away with another man, but surveillance footage from the gas station showed that it was closed at the time Forbes said they were there. This inconsistency, coupled with Forbes' demeanor, led Tony Lee to question the validity of his account. The investigation into Kenia Monge's disappearance began immediately after she vanished on April 1, 2011. Denver police initially treated it as a missing person case, interviewing Kenia's friends and family to piece together her last known movements. The discovery of the text message from Travis Forbes on Kenia's phone provided investigators with their first significant lead. Detective Nash Garul, the lead investigator, quickly focused on Forbes as a person of interest due to the inconsistencies in his story about dropping Kenia off at the gas station. As the investigation progressed, detectives meticulously combed through surveillance footage from the 24,000 Lounge and surrounding areas. They discovered video evidence of Kenia leaving the club alone and later footage of her at the Conoco gas station, where she was last seen getting into Forbes' white van. This crucial piece of evidence contradicted Forbes' initial account and raised further suspicions about his involvement in Kenia's disappearance. Travis Forbes' girlfriend, Carrie Humphrey, played a significant role in the investigation into the murder of Kenia Monge by providing Forbes with a false alibi. Initially, Humphrey told police that Forbes had spent the night of April 1, 2011, with her, claiming he arrived at her house around 3:30 a.m. and left at approximately 8:30 a.m. This alibi was intended to cover the hours during which Kenia was murdered and her body was disposed of. Humphrey's statement seemed to corroborate Forbes' version of events, temporarily diverting suspicion away from him. However, as the investigation progressed, detectives uncovered evidence that contradicted Humphrey's account. Cell phone records and GPS data revealed that Forbes was not at Humphrey's house during the critical hours, but was instead near the bakery where he worked. Faced with this evidence, detectives confronted Humphrey again on April 26, 2011. Under pressure, she changed her story, admitting that Forbes had asked her to lie about his whereabouts. She revealed that Forbes had initially told her he was sleeping in his van and later claimed he was on a marijuana run. The police's attention soon turned to Debbie's Bakery and Cafe, where Forbes rented space for his granola bar business. Surveillance footage from the bakery showed Forbes arriving in the early hours of April 2, 2011, carrying a large cooler and later disabling the video system. This suspicious behavior prompted investigators to obtain a search warrant for the premises. On April 29, 2011, nearly a month after Kenia's disappearance, police executed the search warrant at Debbie's Bakery. During the search, investigators discovered what appeared to be drops of dried blood on the floor. While the bakery owner claimed it was blueberry juice, forensic tests later confirmed it was human blood. This discovery marked a turning point in the investigation, as it provided physical evidence potentially linking Forbes to a violent crime. The search of the bakery also revealed other incriminating evidence. Investigators found traces of bleach and other cleaning agents, suggesting an attempt to destroy evidence. They also discovered that Forbes had recently replaced the cargo area carpet in his van, raising suspicions that he might have been trying to conceal evidence of a crime. These findings, combined with the surveillance footage and Forbes' inconsistent statements, strengthened the case against him. As the investigation continued, Forbes' behavior became increasingly erratic. He abruptly left Colorado in early July 2011, claiming he needed to visit his sick mother in Texas. However, investigators later learned that this was another lie in Forbes' web of deception. His sudden departure only served to intensify law enforcement's focus on him as the prime suspect in Kenia's disappearance. On July 10, 2011, Travis Forbes was arrested in Austin, Texas, but not for Kenia's murder. He was taken into custody for stealing a car, an act that would ultimately lead to his downfall. The arrest in Austin brought Forbes back into the spotlight and provided investigators with an opportunity to question him further about Kenia's disappearance. It also allowed them to collect DNA samples from Forbes, which would prove crucial in linking him to both Kenia's murder and the attack on Lydia Tillman. The attack on Lydia Tillman occurred on July 5, 2011. Tillman suffered severe injuries, including a stroke, but managed to survive. Her resilience and the evidence collected from the crime scene, including DNA under her fingernails, linked Forbes to the assault. This connection ultimately played a crucial role in solving Kenia Monge's case. Tillman's ordeal was a harrowing experience. Forbes had followed her home after the 4th of July fireworks in Fort Collins, pushed her inside her apartment, and brutally attacked her. He then poured bleach on her body and threw out the apartment to destroy evidence before setting the place on fire. Tillman managed to escape by jumping out of a second-story window, and despite the severe injuries, She provided crucial evidence that linked Forbes to both crimes. The DNA evidence collected from Lydia Tillman's case was compared to samples taken from Forbes. The match confirmed Forbes' involvement in both crimes. This breakthrough provided the investigators with the leverage they needed to press Forbes for a confession. The DNA evidence was a turning point in the investigation, as it conclusively linked Forbes to the brutal attack on Tillman and the murder of Kenia Monge. With the DNA evidence in hand, the investigators intensified their efforts to build a case against Forbes. They re-examined the evidence from the bakery and the surveillance footage, piecing together a timeline of events that pointed to Forbes' guilt. The mounting evidence and relentless pursuit by the detectives eventually cornered Forbes, leading to his confession. In September 2011, Travis Forbes confessed to the murder of Kenia Monge. He admitted to strangling her and hiding her body in a cooler, which he then stored in a freezer at the bakery. Forbes later buried Kenia's body in a shallow grave in Weld County, Colorado. His confession provided the closure that Kenia's family had been desperately seeking. Forbes' confession came with a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in Kenia Monge's case and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, he received a 48-year sentence for the attempted murder of Lydia Tillman to be served consecutively. This plea deal ensured that Forbes would never be free to harm anyone again. The plea deal was a joint resolution by prosecutors in Denver and Fort Collins, allowing Forbes to avoid the death penalty in exchange for his full confession and cooperation. This agreement spared Kenia's family the ordeal of a lengthy trial and provided them with the closure they needed. Forbes' sentences for both crimes ensured that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Travis Forbes' trial was marked by his emotional apologies and the impact statements from Kenia Monge's family. Despite his attempts to express remorse, the court sentenced him to life in prison without parole for Kenia's murder and an additional 48 years for the attack on Lydia Tillman. The verdict ensured that Forbes would never harm anyone again. During the trial, Forbes wept as he apologized to Kenia's family, acknowledging the pain and suffering he had caused. However, his expressions of remorse did little to mitigate the severity of his crimes. The court's decision to impose consecutive sentences for both crimes reflected the gravity of his actions and the need to protect society from such a dangerous individual. The murder of Kenia Monge by Travis Forbes is a harrowing tale of a young life cut short by a predator. The investigation showcased the dedication and perseverance of law enforcement in bringing a dangerous criminal to justice. Kenia's legacy lives on through the memories of her loved ones and the lessons learned from her tragic story. The case serves as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and the relentless pursuit of justice for victims of violent crimes.